Spoiler alert, the following podcast includes discussions on film that may potentially, intentionally or inadvertently, reveal plot twists, character traits, story details, up to and including endings that might otherwise be considered spoilers. Proceed at your own risk.
You're listening to Moviesucktastic.
I can bear your child. Together we could start a new species. God told me to. God told me to.
Yeah!
Why, hello there.
Joey!
What?
Hello.
Hello.
I don't know, that's all.
Hello there.
Welcome to Moviesucktastic.
Hey there.
That's Joey.
Hey.
I'm Scott. And
Hi.
if he had yelled my name too, I wouldn't have had to tell you that. But anyway.
Well, you know what? I'm yeah, you know what I'm doing.
Oh, I know what you're doing.
Production at its finest. If anyone out there wants to start their own podcast and do production, don't.
You know why I asked you a tech question?
No. To mock me, I'm sure.
God told me to.
Yes. I'm sure he did.
And that is the movie we're reviewing today.
Yes.
God told me to. The
God told me to.
Larry Cohen film from 1976.
Yes, it is.
Featuring one of the most poetic actor names ever, Tony LoBianco.
Tony LoBianco.
I just love Tony LoBianco. I love saying that. It's like there's Tony LoBianco.
He's a little Italian.
A little.
Just a little bit.
He's a low Italian.
Looks like one of my uncles.
I thought he looked like a very young what's his name? Loggia.
Robert Loggia?
Looks like a very young Loggia.
I don't see it.
Okay.
But then again,
Those Italians all look alike. I don't know.
let's not get stupid.
Too late.
Actually, the youngest I've ever seen Robert Loggia that I can remember is probably Scarface.
And that's still not that young.
And no, he's pretty fucking old. I mean, he's in his 50s at that point.
He's one of those actors that was never young. Like, you see these guys where, like, you see a film from
Not in
like the 60s, like, holy shit, this guy's never been fucking young.
Yeah. Robert Loggia's never been young in my cinematic brain. You know, it just never has. Everything that I've ever seen him in,
Like
going back to Scarface, he's always been in his 50s.
Like, what's his name from Christmas Vacation? Yes, Fried Pussycat. Or
No.
the old guy with a cigar.
Yeah.
Like
That guy.
He's never been fucking young. He's played the old guy in every film he's ever been in.
That's the old crotchety guy.
You look at films in the 50s, he plays the old guy. It's just fucking creepy.
This is true.
Now, let me start off by saying I loved this movie.
Yeah, and you know what? I won't talk about the ending, but one of the things that when I challenged it to you was the ending was very like burned into my brain, and after seeing it as an adult from when I saw it when I was a kid, the ending I had a completely different. I remember the ending being way different.
Okay, well, let's do this much. We'll talk about the ending after a certain point, so there's a spoiler alert, but it's not going to take place for a little while. We're going to talk about the rest of the film, and then we'll get up to the ending, and we'll say we're going to reveal the ending. I don't think it's a big reveal, but still,
No,
you know,
it's not.
It's for the hell of it. Now, I'm a sucker for religious films
Yes, you are.
with like religious parables or metaphors, etc. And surprisingly, despite the title, this film has to do with religion.
Yeah, and surprisingly, because obviously I don't remember this from when I was a kid, it still kind of holds up in that aspect.
It does, and the basic premise isn't too hard to grasp. There's a detective, Detective Peter Nicholas, and he's following a series of murders, mass murders, after which all these mass murderers, before they die, utter the phrase, "God told me to."
Right. Or some of them don't die. Some of them just...
Well, a lot of them do.
But,
I mean,
but
yeah,
a lot of them
okay,
do. But there is an instance or two, actually, where they don't die.
Right.
Where they're being interviewed and whatnot. But you're right.
But they all say,
they all say it.
"God told me to," and he tries to track down what's happening, and he doesn't like the answer.
No, not at all. He's a very religious person, goes to church every day, still married, but has a girlfriend.
How more Catholic can you get than that?
He should just be in the mafia, and then it's okay.
Or Church of England.
Or Church of England. But it was interesting. They don't really go into much why him and his wife. I mean, they go into a little bit that she had 3 miscarriages. That's later in the film,
Right.
But they go into a little bit more that he was like the fault of that. But they don't actually say, yeah, that was the reason why they're not together anymore, because they seem to get along pretty well when they're together.
Well, that drove them apart. Also, he's a character that's deeply religious, but at the same time, it's a religiosity, if that's a word, that
I don't think it is, but I like it.
Troubles him. I'm going to make it a word. That and my window's open, so if you hear the occasional truck smashing through buildings, that's my house.
That's fine.
And so, but he's one of those, like his religion doesn't, like, even she said in the beginning, it's supposed to bring you joy, and the religion doesn't bring him any joy, even though he's a devout Catholic.
Right.
And it's one of the many subtle plays. I don't know how subtle. Actually, this film's not subtle at all. But it's one of the plays on the idea of religion, and this film plays a lot about faith. It's probably one of the few '70s horror films that tries to have a deeper meaning, and in some ways actually succeeds.
Well, and to get just a slight technical, it doesn't go the traditional route of even the music. You totally expect to hear some sort of '70s, '80s style TV soap opera-ish type music as the score, and what they end up delivering is a little bit more orchestrated, and it really helps with setting up scenes, tension, moving the plot even a little bit, and just, I mean, it's filmed like a '70s movie, dirty, grimy New York. That's the whole reason why I challenged it to you. But as far as the sound, the score, they really did a great job with it. It was almost like Larry Cohen's like, you know what? Everyone's using this kind of style of music. I don't like it. I want to do something different.
Well, originally he had approached Bernard Herrmann, who did the soundtrack for Taxi Driver the same year.
Okay.
But he died like the day after he watched the film. That's why the film's dedicated to him.
Because his movie killed him.
Well, you could say that. And then supposedly he approached the composer Miklos Rosa, and Rosa replied, "God told me not to," which is clever. It's clever.
Sure.
And he did a lot of stuff too.
Well, yeah. I mean, you just even bring up the mention of religion or making a religious film, and depending on the person's faith, whether they are very, faith driven or not, like that answer, it's like, yeah, I'm sure he was a devout Catholic, and he's like, no, I can't do this.
Or he just thought it was a shitty movie. I mean, it's it can go either way.
No, I don't think so. I would put money on that he just felt that it was wrong to do a score for a movie like this.
I not knowing anything about the man, I think it's hard to put that label on his decision. But
just because of his answer, God told me not to.
Yeah, I don't know how controversial of a film this is. I don't know if it was ever truly controversial, even though I think in a way it's trying to be. Because you got the whole Chariots of the Gods thing going on, and anything involving religious people going on murderous rampages is sure to raise some eyebrows. But I don't remember this film ever raising ire like Silent Night, Deadly Night, because Santa Claus, fuck with God, yeah, but Santa Claus, lay off. Yeah,
no, exactly. You know what they did that was good in here too, that I don't remember it at all. But what I thought actually worked well were their flashbacks. I thought that the flashback scenes were actually good.
You mean the virgin birth flashbacks?
Yeah, it was everything I wanted in a bad 70s film about faith in God.
You know where that spaceship came from, right?
The spaceship?
The spaceship that they're sucked into. The women, they find women had virgin births, and you find out that they had virgin births because they were kidnapped by UFOs and artificially inseminated by a bolt of light.
Right.
Spoiler. You know where the ship they show? You know where that's from, right?
Oh, was that used elsewhere?
Stock footage from the TV show Space 1999.
Oh dear God, really?
Larry doesn't spend money when he don't have to spend money. I love Larry Cohen, by the way. The Stuff.
The Stuff.
Ambulance.
It's Alive. The Ambulance.
Return to Salem's Lot is a personal favorite.
I've always liked that one.
Yeah.
Now we'll get into it later. But you said Scott had texted me, said he already has a challenge for me.
Oh yeah.
And I actually have a couple of good guesses that I'd like to just throw out there before you even mention anything.
I'll say this: I had one I was going to challenge, and I thought of a better one, and I'm challenging that one instead.
Okay.
I text you, I had something in mind, and then between then and now, I was like, nah, fuck it, I'm going this way.
All right, nice.
Yeah, no, so the film is...
But yeah, this film came out the year of my birth, 1976, so this actually is making it into my Plex folder of movies in the year I was born. I believe that's what I'm going to call it. So it just based on that alone, I had to have just liked this film. I would have forced myself to, but I ended. You're right. I did like this anyway, a lot more than I expected to.
There's more going on, and it's one of those things where with half of the Larry Cohen films, you can forgive the low budget stuff because there actually is something going on here. He had a knack for actually. It's like he had a talent for screenwriting that even shitty films, he's got something else going on in there. He knows this.
Right.
It's weird. I can't even put it in the proper perspective, but like The Stuff is on the surface a shitty, direct-to-video 80s horror monster movie. And it's like he knows that going in, but he puts all this subtext in there about commercialism and advertising and consumption. It's like, yeah, all right. It's still a shitty. It's the opposite of George Romero.
Yeah.
where he does a shitty zombie film, and then years later people are like, oh, that was about the Vietnam War, right? It's like, yeah, it was. Where Larry Cohen is like, he puts all this thoughtful, inventive stuff in there, and then years later it's like, oh yeah, you did the film with the killer frozen yogurt. It's like, yeah, that was me. The exact fucking opposite.
God, I love this stuff. We haven't formally reviewed that one.
I don't think so. No, we have not.
Pretty sure we haven't.
Talk about it so much.
Okay. So, like I said, I have a couple of, just guesses before you even give me any hints or anything.
We'll go into that. We'll go into that. So, in his investigations of these killers, saying God told me to, he finds this group of people that are being led by this golden person, who's supposedly
Bernard Phillips. What was that? His name, Bernard Phillips?
Yeah, Bernard Phillips is the person's formal name, but the descriptions of him lead him to be this kind of like Jesus-like character.
Right.
And when you see him the 2 times in the film where they actually make contact, he's glowing gold. Everything's golden around him.
Yeah, like when the first time Peter Nicholas actually encounters
Peter Nicholas. Yeah,
the detective.
Yeah, the detective. Yeah.
The first time he encounters him, he can't see him because he's glowing so much. He's like if we hadn't reviewed The Last Dragon, I would have challenged you to The Last Dragon because of the glow. Because I kept thinking of that. It's like, you got the glow, you got the glow. It's just so fucking bad. But he had this gold glow all around him, and it was so bright that he couldn't even see his face. Even as the viewer, they get that point across that you cannot see his face. So, which Bernard Phillips is played by Richard Lynch, who I love. And in watching this film, I did a little homework on Richard Lynch. Back in the 60s, the late 60s, he had such a bad LSD trip, he lit himself on fire. That's why his face is all scarred up and burnt. Which you see more of him. He was like one of the best go-to 80s villains.
And ironically, he was in the film Bad Dreams, which we talked about during the Reanimator review.
Oh yeah.
In which he played a cult leader who died burning alive.
But yeah, he set himself on fire because he had a bad LSD trip, and then made a short film, which he has a film credit for it. I'm assuming it was one of those awareness, don't do drugs kind of films, and it came out in 1969, the year after he set himself on fire. I got to get my hands on it. I have to.
Yeah, he's great in this.
Yeah.
And he has one of the scariest parts of the entire film that I'll talk about later when we talk about the ending.
Yeah, he should have that looked at.
Shh. Yeah, no, we won't talk about that.
No, we'll talk about it later. So either have it looked at or relocated.
So the first act is all these people killing themselves, saying, God told me to. The second act is him trying to track down,
right?
What the source is of this, and then the third act is him realizing, wait a minute, I'm more involved in this whole thing than I thought I was originally.
Right. It's like it's like this prophecy is fulfilled through him in the third act.
Mm-hmm. Now, and I like the fact that it's not one of these films where they felt the need. I mean, he tells a little bit of like Nicholas's background just through his actions. Him with the girlfriend, then I'm gonna go visit the ex, and then she's like, well, you keep telling her that I'm not the one who wants a divorce.
They're not even divorced yet.
Well, separated, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
I mean, she's like, well, she thinks she thinks I'm the reason you don't get a divorce, blah blah blah. So there's a conflict in his background, that he's afraid of something, and that he's troubled, and that there's something going on with the relationship. But you don't find out until the police start investigating him in the second act that he's an orphan himself that was adopted by a family, and so he has this vague background that he starts investigating himself.
Yeah, and what he ends up finding out pushes the third act of the film hardcore.
Right. Now, if you made this film today, they'd have something really hackneyed in the beginning to force the fact that he's an orphan or he was adopted or something. And like this film's like, yeah, ignore it. It wouldn't come up. It's not fucking relevant now. It'll come up later. And I like there's no foreshadowing for that aspect, because how do you do that naturally? How often do you talk about whether or not you have parents or you have you were adopted? Who talks about that?
Yeah, nobody.
I can tell you how many people I knew for years until I found out, you were adopted? Yeah, you know why? Because then fucking come up in conversation. But the shitheel fucking screenwriters today that just have to foreshadow everything and like fucking bird droppings.
Well,
when it's not necessary, Cohen doesn't do that. He drops it in like the middle of the second act or even the end of the second act. Says, oh yeah, he's an orphan, adopted, blah blah blah. Oh, here's a new thread. And that's more of a reveal than anything else in the film would be.
True. And I don't know if us as a society, I mean, present company excluded. I mean, this whole country seems like it just has just low attention span with numerous things. Now, listen, I'm not going to get political. I'm not going to say that's what it is. But what I'm getting at is it feels like the screenwriters think we do. So they'll write a script a certain way to just, everything's got to be instant now. Because that's what we have. We have high-speed internet. We have social media, a computer in your hand, everywhere you go. So they're just boom, 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 boom. They're just throwing it out as quick as they can. And that's why you're getting the level of shittier scripts.
Yeah, no, you're right. But here's what part of the problem is, too. You go back to all these independent and low-budget films in the 70s, 80s, blah, blah, blah. Like Larry Cohen. He's writing, he's directing.
Right.
He's getting the money raised. He's making the films. He's in control. You get the bigger studio films. And the studio is leaving notes on the screenplay. We need this. We need that. We're doing test screenings. We're doing this and that. And there's a formula, and there's things. And so if they do a test screening, or they read it and it's like, hey, you know what? How come this doesn't come up sooner? I don't know. That doesn't make any sense. They're like, okay, we'll put it in. And so there's like a formula that happens with all these screenplays where you're supposed to leave. So unless you get somebody who has complete control over their shit after 20 years, or someone who just, is able to fight for every single fucking line, you get this kind of really hackneyed, okay, like you and I watched a film, and in the first Joey came over to my house, and I said, let's put in a movie that we don't care about. All right, we put in the newest Fast and the Furious.
Yeah, number 7.
Yeah, and I'm like, all right, I'm just going to skip to all the driving scenes because we don't give a shit about plot. And so I accidentally skipped to a part where the dead guy is like with his wife and his kid, and the kid drops the car, and he's like, oh, cars don't fly. And I immediately turn to Joey and go, that's coming up later, isn't it? Sure fucking enough. It's like...
Then not only do they jump from one building to the other, they do it twice.
And it was fucking awesome. Don't get me wrong. I love that scene. That was why I wanted... That in the trailers is why I wanted to watch the shitty film in the first place. Don't get me wrong. But it's that kind of writing that is so just, okay, we have to do this. We have to drop this off. And it's a brick joke. It comes up later. I understand that. But the point is because of this studio... And again, studios are run by people that don't understand films. They're money people. They're not film people. Mm-hmm. In the rare occasion you get studio people that understand films, then you get good, decent stuff. But they don't understand this stuff, so it has to be very simple. And so you get stuff where everything has to be kind of really telegraphed in the first act, so people don't get confused in the second act. One of the few films I ever saw. One of the few films I ever saw alone, Mission Impossible. I saw it in the theater in North Carolina. I walk out and there's a couple in front of me. I don't understand. What was the knock list? They never explained that. So you got to be fucking kidding me. They explain that shit every half hour in that fucking film. Really? That's the audience they're writing for.
Well,
people that behind leaving Mission Impossible.
That's a great example because there were a lot of people that didn't know what the fuck was going on during that film. I think I went to go see that. Yeah, I saw that in a theater out here with Chris, Doug, Brian. Yeah, and we walked out and not one of us were like, yeah. We all knew what was going on.
Right, because you're smart people. Again, we're not rocket scientists. I myself am not a super genius. I'm close. But in the first 10 minutes of that film, when the guy from Anaconda, Vaughn.
Oh, John Voight.
John Voight. Close.
John Vaughn.
John Voight. When it's John Voight's POV, he's like, "Oh, I've been shot," and he looks down and his hands come out with blood. I'm like in the theater, like, okay, so I know he's alive and I know how this ends. it's like, and I'm not even saying spoiler alert because if you don't get that in that scene, then you're a fucking idiot.
Yeah.
I don't know what to
tell you. At his best. Wong, wong, wong. And we'll talk about that later because we're going to talk a little bit about our viewer appreciation month that we're going to do. Because we actually have a good handful of movies.
Uh-huh.
I think we can close the forum this weekend.
Maybe. We might give it another week. We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll discuss that in a moment. But long story short, what I'm getting at is just that, a lot of films are catered to that kind of thing nowadays, at least the mainstream ones. So when you watch these films from the 70s, Larry Cohen, it's refreshing to have something where that comes up in like the middle, like halfway through the film. So, oh, he's an orphan. Like, well, thank fucking God they didn't have to telegraph it earlier by saying something stupid.
Super.
You know,
genius.
just and they instead they focused on his relationships and how that determined how he was as a person, and that played a lot into the first act.
Fruit fly or something. Shoe fly. Shoe fly. Shoe.
Anyway,
this is riveting, everyone.
Shut up! You keep talking. When I stop talking, you start.
Because
talking.
I'm just enthralled by watching what you're doing.
Don't look at. Don't look at me.
It's distracting.
Don't look at me.
Don't look at you. I can't help it. You're so pretty.
That's Blue Velvet.
Yeah. Don't look at me. I know it's fucking Blue Velvet. I just saw a meme. I just saw a meme the other day where they had children in place where it said, "Don't look at me," and I thought it was great, but I'm like, in a way, I'm like, I shouldn't think this is great.
I want to do that with your kids. I want to like reenact scenes from There Will Be Blood with your kids. I think it'd be fucking awesome.
Yeah, and we could use a hit film video software to edit it.
Exactly. I'm all for it. I'll come over. We'll do the costumes and everything. It'd be great.
Yeah, no. Believe me, we could do it. Like today, I took my children to McDonald's, and at one point, they have like the playground inside of the McDonald's on the one end, and both of my kids are sliding down this big ass slide backwards. Because going forwards is not fun enough.
No, obviously.
So sliding down
like that
backwards. So yeah, we can film all that stuff, and we can throw in neat things with hit film.
Ooh, we could have them do like lines from Glengarry Glen Ross. That's a good one.
In maybe 7 years.
What? Not the cursing ones. There's non-cursing.
No. I'm talking about. There's a lot, dude. That's Mammoth. How are my children going to do Mammoth? They're 6 and 3.
Children can do Mammoth. Mammoth's dialogue is fucking ridiculous. Kids can do Mammoth. Not adults don't know what the hell's going on in his dialogue. Kids can do it fine. We're not talking hideous stories of ugly men or whatever that was.
You're going to get one of them probably trying to deliver it real, and then you get the other one screaming the lines.
That's even better. That doesn't matter. God fucking damn it.
Like Sebastian, he's going to scream the lines.
Good.
It was like that night that you were over and you just kept going, whatever that was. Yeah, he got really pissed.
I know he did. I know. And that's going to come back.
And he had a genuine reaction of someone that was fed up with it. Because you had done it for the last time. And I swear to God, he almost just, I thought he was going to say, "You keep doing that." And he goes, "You keep Dude, I haven't laughed that hard in a long time because it was so genuine.
Yeah.
He was genuinely annoyed.
Wait till I start babysitting.
Absolutely.
I keep waiting for the call. I don't get the call. I don't know what's going on.
Don't worry. It's going to come.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's going to happen. Don't worry. But here's the problem. You come over, it's like, you're here, it's like, I just want to go out to dinner or do something. Like, let's get a babysitter other than you so we can actually go out. Anyway.
Oh, by the way, when we're done, I know what I want for my bachelor party. I'll tell you.
Cool.
Your
camera, I can only see your eyeballs. You got to drop your
the camera moved when I was going for the fly. Sorry.
There we go.
All right. Anyway, God told me to.
God told me to.
I think we're going to start talking about near the end of the film.
Well, I mean, we pretty much covered. I mean, here's the thing. We both enjoyed the film. It's always harder to review films you like because you're not shitting on like, oh yeah, they delivered this wrong or this scene was done very poorly. This film is actually made very well. And,
I'm not going to have trouble with my challenge with that, by the way.
Oh, I hope not, because I have an idea of what it might be. I have two ideas of what it might be. I'm going to hate it. Okay.
But now this film, we've glossed over it. Andy Kaufman's first casting.
Oh, really?
You didn't recognize Andy Kaufman?
Oh no, I did, but I didn't know it was his first.
Yeah, this is his first casting. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, Andy Kaufman's the cop during the Irish Day parade that just pulls his gun and starts shooting people.
Yeah. God told me to.
I love when he goes to the house to try to find the mother of Bernard Phillips, and she attacks him, and he throws her down the stairs, and he grabs her. He's like, "Say it, say it!" She's like, "God." I said, "Say it!" This is a fucking X out. That scene was awesome.
Yeah.
She's like dying in his arms, like, "Fucking say it!" Great,
bitch.
He did everything but like start slapping her. "Ah, fucking say it! You're gonna say it! Say it!" And then you cross that with the scene of the guy that's alive that they interviewed and killed his family. And he's like, "Well, yeah." And then she was, she locked herself in the bathroom, and I told her it was a game, and she came out, and she was laughing, and I shot her. So I was laughing when I shot her. It's like, it was all good.
That scene is actually on right now.
It's
Peter Nicholas
scene.
is attacking
really
him.
is.
He's
That
attacking
scene-
him on the couch.
Yeah, that scene holds up as he's talking to him, and the guy's just describing it very nonchalantly on how he killed his whole family, and,
Right.
and how Nicholas snaps at the end. He's like, he can't take this shit anymore. It's a powerful scene. I think it still holds up.
Oh, sure.
It's not like watching like the rape scene in Death Wish. It's almost comical. Say, I kill rich cunts. Slap, slap. It's like, what the fuck is this? You watch this now, it's like, yeah, this is just. If they remade this today, you wouldn't change anything. That's just how that scene plays out.
The dialogue would stay exactly the same.
And
I don't know if it would work as well. You'd have to get two stellar actors, specifically the guy delivering the lines about killing his family.
Well, you know what? They'd make the guy like act crazy somehow, and they'd fuck it up. He'd have to say something like he'd have to act crazy, and it's like no, this guy plays it just like he's describing like a tickle fight. It's just fucking awesome.
Yeah.
And that like just the nonchalance about it is what drives Nicholas over the edge. I fucking love it.
Yeah.
And now there's a very, 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 very minor subplot. It only amounts to 3 minor scenes, where a black gangster uses the God told me to scenario because it leaks to the papers. Everybody starts going crazy, and he uses it as a cover to kill a cop on the take who wasn't on the take enough.
Yeah.
Who also black.
Because my people are still being arrested. He goes, well, I had to give him someone, and he's like, nah. And then he fucking kills him and writes God on the wall in his blood.
And he's now. When I say stereotypical, I don't mean in a bad way. He is such a stereotypical 70s black gangster, like right out of Shaft. Just with the hat and everything.
JD's Revenge.
JD's Revenge, exactly. It's like right out of that kind of thing. And so later, when Nicholas finds out that he's actually like the same as this golden child, like he's also again, this is spoilers coming up, so whatever. He tracks down his original birth mother and finds out that she, like this. Also,
that actress, never young.
Never. Oh yeah, she's one of those ones, never young.
I mean, the first time I ever remembered her is Beetlejuice. She was their.
What was her name?
The probation officer.
What's her name?
I don't know what her name is.
I mean, I can't remember. She had a different name than Nicholas in the movie because he was adopted.
Right.
So now I can't.
She was Old McOldie.
No, her name was not Mrs. Phillips. It's gonna be, no, that was Bernard Phillips.
Hold on, I'll get her from the Beetlejuice casting.
Yeah, you get that, but so like they have that. He finds that out, and just as he figures out everything, he's like finds out what he is. It's almost like he has to test himself. So he does it by tracking down the guy he knows killed the other cop, even though the cop was dirty.
Right.
And he tracks him down to the pool hall, and pulls the little God told me to on him. I won't elaborate, but it's like pure 70s too.
Yeah.
It's like if they did a movie today based in the 70s and they dressed everyone up like that, you'd be like, well, that's over the top.
Her name was Elizabeth Mullen.
What?
Mrs. Mullins. Elizabeth Mullen.
Okay.
Her real name is Sylvia Sidney.
Yeah. She's always been old.
She was born in 1910, died in 1999. She was 88. Born in New York, died in New York. Yeah, I've never seen her young.
Ed McMahon's one of those actors. If you watch him in like, there's this film, The Incident, like in the 50s, late 50s,
right.
I think, early 60s. I think it was late 50s. You watch him in that, it's like he's middle aged in that. Like, but like late middle age. It's not like he's like, it's just like he's old in that film. It's ridiculous. But yeah, this film is pure 70s, and you challenged this to me because it was the whole shitty New York in a horror film.
Dirty New York, which
and
I got from Chud.
Yeah, and it's great because this film doesn't even play it up. It's just the normal background.
It's just not, dirty, grimy New York.
It's they didn't like in Chud, they tried to make sure they were showing you the worst parts of a city. In this, it's just like, okay, let's go film the Irish Day Parade, which they didn't have permission to do, but they did anyway. That's guerrilla filmmaking, motherfucker. Filming in New York City without a permit, that's guerrilla filmmaking.
I throughout the whole film, I was thinking, it's like this is a not an exact type of guerrilla filmmaking, but it does have elements.
Oh no, it's exact guerrilla filmmaking because they did not have permission to film the parade. And I read somewhere too that during when they were filming it, Andy Kaufman was in the police uniform and he was mocking and heckling the crowd, and some of them like tried to attack him. Because even back then,
Andy.
He was an asshole. But a talented asshole. Don't get me wrong. I'm not knocking Andy Kaufman.
It's no heart beeps.
You know what I love about Andy Kaufman?
Yeah.
He loved being an entertainer, and he hated being sucked into the world of entertainment.
Yeah.
I love that about him. Just that whole, just like, yeah, I love entertaining people. Well, what the fuck are you people doing? I love that about him. just that right there's a metaphor for religion, if I do say so.
Yes,
I think it's fitting that he was in this film and was one of the people that killed people because God told him to.
Oh, Andy.
All right, we have to talk about the ending.
Okay, let's talk about the ending. Ending. From when I was a kid, I remembered it completely different.
Tell me what you remembered. First,
okay.
For everyone who hasn't seen the film yet, this is how Joey remembered it.
Okay. I don't remember the building collapsing at all.
Uh-huh.
Okay. And when the building is starting to collapse, I thought it was funny that you could see in some of the scenes, they said, okay, run down this hallway like the building is collapsing, but they didn't add any shaky cam.
Right.
It's like they just said, we'll add that in later. And then there are shots where they're running down and they're, making it like the building's collapsing, and they did add shaky cam where it actually works. But there's like at least 2 or 3 scenes where he's just running down the hallway, nothing is happening, and he's just like all convulsing and shit, and there's no shaky cam. It's hilarious.
Yeah.
It's fucking hilarious.
And it's also obviously not Tony LoBianco.
Obviously.
Blatantly.
Obviously.
And you're like, why is there a stunt double when all he's doing is shaking down the hall? This is weird.
What I remember as a kid is, and this is so weird, I remember the main character, Peter Nicholas, being in the same room as this golden person, except what I remember was a floating head talking, or just like light around this floating head, like a light emitting from this floating head, and like this glow. I do remember that. And I just remember the main character kind of almost like being in the presence of it, and just like absorbing like whatever power or whatever gift, I guess, so to say. And then I thought it was an earthquake, not the building collapsing. And then I remember him walking into whatever city hall or whatever it is, and then freeze framing, credits roll. That's not what happened at all. So as a kid, this floating head must have been the close-up shots that they had on Bernard Phillips, like glowing. But I swear to you, I remembered it much more vividly. I remembered it being much more special effect driven, floating gold light, all of this. Almost like God. I perceived that like God or a prophet was talking to the main character at that moment. That's what I remembered as a kid. And then I watched it. I'm like, wow, that's not what happened at all. Some dude showed his like half vagina, like on the side of his chest. It's like, yeah, you could have sex with me. I'll have that baby just right here. You're point A. This is point B right here. Okay, you're right in the gallbladder. Go for it.
I was. That's hot. That's much higher than the gallbladder, sir. Let's not get silly. I was watching the film, and I was.
Yeah, how would you do? You'd have to stand on like a chair or something. Put your arms on
while you're doing it. Yeah,
on the shoulders. You know.
All right, now I'm watching the film, and I told you, unlike you, I'd never seen the film before. My first time watching was this week, and I'm watching it, and then during the one of, I forget, it was the first or the second alien abduction scenes, they show a flash of something up close, and I'm watching. I was like, not a vagina. And it cuts away. It comes back again for a minute. Something's moving. It's like, I don't think it was a vagina, but I think it was supposed to be a vagina. This film's got vagina.
It looked a little frothy.
It was a little frothy. There was something moving in it.
Yeah, it looked a little. You know what? It almost.
Yeah, don't go there.
Okay, now, but that's what it looked like.
I know what you're gonna say. Don't say it. Don't say it. That's it.
Anyone that's watched porn knows what I'm going to say.
No, stop, don't.
But I didn't say it.
So at the end, and I was leafing through the IMDb message boards. I always do it just to listen to crazy people.
Yeah.
And somebody had something very poignant. They said, Richard Lynch in a dress with long hair, lifting up his dress, exposing a vagina in his chest and saying, "I can bear your child," should not happen on film ever anywhere.
Yeah, ever.
I was like, I agree with him, totally 100%. This should not be happening. he does we can start a new family. I can bear your child. It's like, oh fuck no.
But let's not do that.
This could drive anybody insane. Tony LoBianco, do your worst.
He just bitch slaps him. I mean, is that the right term?
He bitch slaps him. That's what's great about it, is because he doesn't punch him, he doesn't attack. He's got his gun, he doesn't shoot him. He fucking pimp slaps him, and then he's like, ah!
He showed him the back of his pimp hand.
Yeah, and then Richard Lynch goes, ah! Literally, ah! And then Tony's like, you've never felt pain. He's like, ooh, I'm gonna hurt this motherfucker. And he starts slapping him left, smack, 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 smack. He's like, what's your safe word, bitch? Smack, smack, smack.
Say it.
and there's no way you're not rooting for him. I'm sorry. At no point I'm like, hey, easy on the guys. Like, no. That's it.
Go for it.
Take off your belt. Do it. Come on.
Take off your belt. Get the phone book. You got a phone book somewhere, right? I mean, if he did like a good old side rib punch, that could turn into a different type of movie.
Now, here's where I give Larry Cohen full credit. The fact that he has this vagina thing on the side of his body, on his side, that's kind of a parallel to the wound in Jesus' side when the Roman pierced
the spear.
The spear of Longinus. Yeah, exactly. So, like, he's that is so inventive and like not brought up in the film, and I love that. It's just like, it was like, if you make that connection, you're like, wow, this film's just like actually smart.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's like right where the rib cage is and everything.
Yeah. It's just that's where it's. I think it's on the right side as well. I think the wound is on the left. Correct.
The vagina. Yes, the vagina is on his left.
I mean, I know that one. I mean, the wound on Christ. I think that was on the left side, if I remember correctly.
Well, I'm trying to. I don't know.
It depends which crucifix factory made it. Yeah, I know.
You got a 50-50 shot.
50-50 shot. But I thought that was an ingenious little kind of subtle play on that. And of course, once he starts pimp slapping him, he's like, I've lost this fight. And he pulls the building down on himself.
Yeah, all of the pictures I'm seeing shows that the spear pierced the opposite side of what's in the film.
Obviously the wrong.
But I bet the vagina looked better on the right side. I bet it looks stupid on the left side.
Oh no, it has to be on. It has to be. It was on the left side in the film.
When you're watching it, it's your right, but his physical left.
Right. That's what I said.
Jesus's wound is, when you look at it, it's our left, but Jesus's physical right.
I understand how that works. I'm saying yes. So in the film, it's on the left.
Visually, it's on the right. The vagina is on the right side of the body.
It's on his left.
Yeah, but I'm telling you, Jesus's spear wound is on the right side.
I got that. I said they're wrong.
They're wrong?
I believe Larry Cohen is correct. I think Jesus's vagina was on the left side, not the right.
Oh, okay.
All right?
That works.
That's all I'm saying.
That works for me.
All right. I mean, performances in the film range from middling to pretty decent. I think Tony LoBianco does a great job as far as you can with the character. Richard Lynch, fucking I double checked his credits. I remembered him from some things, I was like, I know he's in something. I can't place my finger on it. Ninth Configuration. He's one of the fucking bikers.
Yes, he is.
Yes, and when I was looking for that, I found out he's on an episode of fucking Automan. He was in all the 80s TV shows. Oh, he was an Automan.
He was your quintessential 80s villain.
He was fucking awesome.
He did a couple of Chuck Norris films, where he was a bad guy. I think he was in Delta Force or one of the... He's either in Delta Force or one of the mission...
he's in a Delta. He's definitely in a Delta. I saw that.
I don't know.
He's in a Mystery Science Theater movie.
God, is he really?
Werewolf, yeah. He's Dr. Noel.
Oh, that's right. That's one of the best outtakes ever, where they're showing him outtakes from that, and it's like werewolf. Yeah. He's a werewolf.
This is truly fascinating.
This is just truly fascinating. They can't even make fun of it properly because they're laughing so hard.
It's you know a film's great in Mystery Science Theater 3000 when they hit a point and no one says anything, they just giggle. It's like
because every time she said werewolf, they giggled.
What? A werewolf?
He's a werewolf.
That's a great episode. That's one I could watch over and over again. That's on my top 20 list of MST episodes.
Oh God, that's right. He was in that. Werewolf.
Yeah, he's like the archaeologist.
That's. Oh, dear Lord.
He's a Bad Dreams. He's one of those guys. I mean, you see him, it's like, yeah, I've seen him in something.
Right.
Even in this, even though he's obscured by gold light, and he's got a long blonde hair, and he's like, you're like, yeah, I've seen him. Yeah, I know this guy.
So have we reached a point of where we're going to rate this movie?
You have anything else to comment on? I mean, again, the religious aspect I thought was really great in this film.
Yeah, no, I got nothing to add.
No, it's as a good film and as a bad film, it's worth a watch. It's one of those films that achieves both.
Right.
It's kind of bad just because it's a little low budget and it's a little, especially when you get to the abduction scenes and stuff. But it's one of those bad films that has a lot going on that you can appreciate the craftsmanship beyond low budget.
I like the just because I don't know. I think I like this style of movie more than others because it's that era, But I like the abduction scenes. I like the flashbacks. There's just something about them that I like.
Okay, my favorite part of the the part that made me. This film has a lot of weird shit in it. You know the part that made me go, "What the fuck?"
What was that?
Yes.
Was it the flashback where his biological mother is running naked in Jersey City?
No, that's
kind of tame. Well, wait a minute. What else could it have been? What the fuck moment?
You're not gonna get it.
Was it one of the? It couldn't have been one of the spaceship scenes. We already talked about it.
The nurse at the old folks' home.
With his biological mother?
Such an overwritten character. Because he meets her, he's like, yeah, did you tell her it's coming? Why? I didn't tell her. Where are they going to go? And then she's taken upstairs. Yeah, we check her. You know what they say? She died. There's one lady, she died, look out the window. We didn't know for a couple days. You know what they say? There's only one cure for old age. And she's saying this shit loud. It was like, She's like, the worst nurse ever. It's fucking awesome. I was like, what the fuck is going on here? And then, like, at the end, where she's like, what are you doing, nurse? Like, what the fuck do you care? Really? There's the only part where I was like, hey, Larry, dial it back a bit. Seriously.
I didn't feel that way.
Hermaphrodite Jesus with the chest vagina, I'm cool with that. The nurse lady, come on, you're stretching it.
No, I have nothing else to add, other than the fact that I did like it.
And someone just sent us the Richard Lynch LSD trip thing.
Ooh,
it
must be on YouTube.
Gino's. Yeah, he just sent us a clip from YouTube. So, thank you, Gino.
Thank you. Gonna definitely check that out.
Made Joey's night.
I did. I'm gonna watch that after the show. There's another LSD one that from the '60s where there's some chick walking around and she's talking about having a bad trip, and then she goes to eat a hot dog, and she goes, "I go to eat the hot dog, and then I bite into the hot dog, and then it starts screaming, and then they actually have audio of this hot dog screaming." It's so fucking bad. It's great. It's fucking great.
I mean,
I just love those, like, you know, drug awareness videos from the 60s, 70s, and even the ones from the 80s, which got a little bit more violent.
Fuck that 90s. Even the 90s ones are ridiculous.
That is true.
You know Truth? Do you know Truth.com still making commercials?
Oh, really?
Yeah, those assholes. You know what? I'm anti-smoking, and I hate those fucking arrogant cocksuckers. Seriously. But anyway, God told me to. I think that wraps it up for the show.
Yep.
Basically, if you're into a little theological philosophy that involves chest vaginas, check it out.
Oh, yeah.
Now, the ratings on IMDb are currently at 6.3.
Yes.
How high are you willing to go?
I think 8 is too high.
Oh, no.
That would
I wasn't even thinking 8.
Okay, good. Because I was gonna talk you out of it. Because when you said how high are you willing to go,
you're like the old lady on The Price is Right. 500. Says, Miss, it's chicken noodle soup. Come on.
Yeah.
Go back.
I'd be willing to go 7 on this.
I want to go 7, but 7, I don't know. I think because of production value and stuff, I really don't know if it can go higher than a 6.
I'm okay with 6, but I would go as high as a 7. I wouldn't fight you on it.
You tempt me with the 7, but I feel like with 7, there's got to be a little more to it. Okay. I mean, you know what it is? I would start with 7, and then I have to knock off a star for the Space 1999.
Oh, for adding that? Sure. Okay.
Even though I liked it, footage knocks it down to a 6.
Even though I liked it, okay. Let's go 6.
Chest vagina almost knocks it to a 7, but not quite enough.
Let's make it a 6 then. I'm good with 6.
6 it is.
Yep.
The highest average rating is actually 7, which is interesting. Highest demographic is females age 18 to 29. That's weird. At 6 point, I don't see this as a women's film. I don't get it. I guess because the guy loses at the end.
Unless unless it's used in Planned Parenthood scenarios.
Well, with Jesus having a chest vagina, I guess that's why it comes up to 6.7. Lowest rating, demographic wise, is now I can't count the lowest under 18 because it's only one female and one male. Again, no, it's just one male under 18 watched this film and gave it a 6. So I have to ignore that.
Any IMDb staff on this one?
I'll get to that.
Okay.
But no, there's one. There is one IMDb staff. They gave it a 7.
Okay.
So they beat us. Females age 30 to 44 give this the lowest, a 6.1. So women our age don't get it.
Well, I think it might be the rib vagina.
But women under the age of 29, they dig the chest vagina, 6.7.
Yeah, because they've seen crazier.
Yeah, probably. Okay.
Probably.
Yeah, and one IMDb staffer gave it 7. We need to find this person because they need to be our connection.
Just or a guest on the show.
Or guest, yes.